Hello everyone. I'm here today to speak to you about why sexual education should be a required course in all schools as early as 6th grade. I have a question. When flipping through the channels on TV during the day or at night, how many times do you encounter something that involves sex? Whether it be deeply kissing, having sex, nudity, sexual comments. For me personally, this happens quite often. And most of the time, media portrays sex as something as it isn't. Magical and a wonderful thing. Depending on who you are, it is that. But for most people, especially teenagers, that isn't what it is. It is important that sexual education be a required course as early as 6th grade in all schools because children need to understand what sex is, the consequences, and how to be safe about it. As I said, sex is portrayed in the media as something what it really isn't in reality. Last semester, I took a class about media. One thing that I really took away was that sex portrayed in the movies, on TV, or music videos is portrayed very unrealistically. This is so true. I don't know how many of you this has happened to, but usually you don't come home, see your husband, and automatically just take off your clothes and start having intimate sex in the kitchen. This, for most people, usually does not happen. So as I said, sex is portrayed as something that really isn't. Children need to know that sex is something that should be shared between two people and all the things that go along with that as well. Girls especially need to know that sex isn't something that should just be given out like it is being today. One more important thing about sex that should be known is the consequences. There are so many consequences that sex brings along with it. As many of us knows, a lot of those can be life-changing. They can also be emotional and physical, long-term and short-term. One of those short-term ones is discomfort, obviously, which we won't go into that because most of us, hopefully, are past 6th grade and have taken sexual education. One of these things about the consequences of sex is in 2012 there was a survey taken, and the women between 15 and 19 years old they had the most amount of babies, and that was 305,088,000 babies. In 2012, a survey was taken, and half of the 19 million STDs that were new were from people between the ages of 15 and 24. This is really sad because a sexually transmitted disease or infection can be short-term or long-term. Most of those are long-term, and those are something that they're going to have to bring up to their partners in the future. Probably if they're that young, are going to need to talk to their parents about it because they're going to need to seek medical help. This just causes a whole array of problems, and they're very unhealthy. Some STDs can move all the way through your body and can end up deathly. Also, when it comes to emotions, we all know about emotions. For me, I'm a very emotional person, and I won't go into it, but I do think sex is something that is emotional. And both women and men can get hurt, and generally most of the time I see women get hurt more because they take it as something emotionally and guys do not. And this is something children need to know because they see sex, like I said, as this fun thing on TV where you can just go out and do it and then the episode is over. That's not how life works, and children need to know that. Going off of that, children need to learn how to practice safe sex. Safe sex is so important, not only for them, but their partners. As I just talked about the STDs, half of the 19 million STDs in 2012 were from 15 to 24-year-olds. This is really unsafe, not healthy, and it's just causing a huge problem in our world. Because if that person has sex with someone else, and that person has sex with someone else, it just becomes a huge problem. I'm sure everyone has seen those charts where it's one person, then two people, and then turns into 1,000. I think it's said for like every 5 people you sleep with, that's 100. That's really scary. The best way to practice safe sex, as we know, is abstinence, and children should know that. This is why it is important that they take this class. They can also learn other ways to practice safe sex by using birth control, female condoms, and male condoms. Most of the time, condoms are usually easy to get. You can buy them at the store. Planned Parenthood or Student Health usually gives them out a lot of the time. Well, or not Student Health, obviously the nurse's office if you are in 6th grade. Sorry. So for all these reasons, it is important that sexual education be a mandatory class to be taken in all schools before or during 6th grade, because children need to know what sex is, the reality, the consequences, and how to practice safe sex. Thank you.